Welcome to 5 Star Weekly. Atlanta United move on to the next round with a gritty performance on Saturday. Now, how do we defeat the Philadelphia Union Thursday night? We discuss all that and more coming up.
Welcome to the show, 5 Star fam. I'm AJ, this is Mark. Before we get into it, become a member of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button or hop over from Facebook and subscribe. So we moved on to the Eastern Conference Semis, and we now know our next opponent. But let's first thank our sponsor. This segment is sponsored by Mojitos Bistro. Mojitos at the Forum, where you can find a slice of Miami and Havana right here in Atlanta. They offer Cuban cuisine made with recipes from their mom's cookbook. For more on the awesomeness at Mojitos, check our description box below. So if you can't make the game itself at the Benz, you should absolutely head over to Mojitos Bistro. They have 2 locations in Norcross and at the Forum. But let's get into this match review. And yes, 1-0. Not super eventful in the sense of goals and all that, but I think there were lots of chances from both sides. 14, in fact. They actually had a couple, or one more on target than we did.
Sure.
And we kind of wasted a bunch of chances, I feel like, in the first half.
Yeah.
But either way, we pull out a gritty result. And I mean, it's something that I think we needed to see, and especially facing a team, pretty much they spent their entire international break just getting ready for us, and so did we. I think this type of result is probably expected. Yeah. Especially looking at all the other games in MLS. Yeah. There were like lots of goals.
Listen, hey,
insane games.
Single elimination format, maybe it's here to stay.
Maybe. But I mean, the first round was knockout round last season as well. So I mean.
But yeah, this one definitely has a different feel to it. I think for me, what it is a lot of MLS teams are top heavy, us included, honestly. So like you play on the front foot, you go with your best foot forward, which is your attack. Yeah. And we've seen a couple 4-3 matches, one of which we'll talk about a little bit later on.
Indeed.
But in these circumstances, I appreciate the boring. We took care of business. And if you're into omens, last season we started the postseason with a 1-0 win. So hey, maybe it bodes well.
I love it. Omens are good, especially if they go in our direction.
Yes. But we need them.
Exactly. So anyway, so we set up in our customary kind of 3-5-2, 3-4-1-2, if you will. Yep. And then they set up with their 4-4-2. And I think they aimed to frustrate, which they absolutely did. And then they were very direct when they were looking for a chance on goal. Yep. Teal Bunbury had a couple chances. Sure. I think he's a guy that they were looking at for their target man, and definitely I think it was kind of effective at times.
Right.
They just are very terrible at putting the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, and I will say too, even though they did finish with more shots on target, a lot of their shots were from this kind of distance, and certain spots where it ended up being an easy save, kind of a straightforward save. Guzan did have to make 1 or 2 like pretty good saves, but for the most part, I thought the defense kind of like controlled their area in terms of like moving New England attackers into less ideal shots, if you will.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you kind of shepherd them into the areas that are less dangerous for sure.
Right.
But there was absolutely one chance where Guzan had to pull off a just kind of worldy of a save, I feel like.
And it started from LGP missing that ball in midfield, and the way
header, he missed the header.
Yeah, and so it's basically 2-on-1 with Parkhurst, and the way Parkhurst played that and shaded that was just so beautiful. And and then Pania gets a dangerous shot. Guzan is able to make the save on this.
He's watching it the whole way, and he pairs it out. Yeah. So I mean, definitely that was, I think, absolutely their best chance. Yeah. You get a 2-on-1, and still Parky is able to snuff that out. I mean, that is, I think, just what a guy you can bring in for one. And then, he could be one of the best MLS defenders in MLS history.
Probably, yeah.
It's one of those.
And, honestly, it's a shame because he's going to be such a big loss.
Exactly. And so that really is the big looming elephant in the room, is that, yes, Michael Parkhurst did get injured in the later part of this match, basically dislocating his shoulder. Right. But before all of that, we had numerous chances. Yeah. Barco, had one on his left foot. he skied it, or not skied it, but he just over the bar.
Yeah.
Joseph, before that, he had a chance also on his left foot.
Right, yeah.
Also,
corner,
and this type of stuff. It does happen, but I think it's one of those things where if we want to go through in subsequent rounds, we definitely need to be more clinical.
Absolutely.
It's just been I think symptomatic of this past month. We've been wasting a lot of chances.
If we score in the first half, it's just a different game. The way we're able to approach that in the second half, and then New England will be forced to make changes.
Right.
I just think that we did allow New England to hang around a little too much. And what's interesting is that DeBoer after the match said that right before he made the subs, he felt like Atlanta United were losing control.
Yep.
And so he felt like he needed to make a change. That's why he made the subs that he made, which is not only changing the shape, making a very attacking move, but he said he felt that helped us regain control of the match, and then we continued to create chances from there on out.
Right, and which it almost made an instant impact. I think Tito definitely made an instant impact in being so direct at goal, already getting a shot off. It wasn't on target, but still either way, Flo Pogba came in already very quickly, makes an interception, gets the ball over to Barco, and then Barco, he finds that space with a late run from Franco Escobar, and then Franco Escobar just does what he does in the playoffs, and he blasts it in the back of the net.
Playoff Escobar, baby.
Exactly. That's the guy you love to see for sure. And and also it was, I think, on top of that, one of his best matches of the season for sure, defensively and going forward. I think, once he was freed up as the right back, he was able to just, bomb down the right as he usually does. I think within this match, a lot of defensive contribution from him. And I think, they recognized over the break, watching the video, that, they were pretty much isolating Franco Escobar because Julian Gressel would move up a lot, and with good reason, because Julian Gressel was finding a lot of space to provide that service to Joseph Martinez. But they realized they needed to be more pragmatic and also help Franco Escobar a little bit so that he wasn't on an island on the right wing.
We gave Julian a 7 out of 10 rating, and I think that's fair, but I think it's a case where, sometimes, especially matches like these, you just need like a 7 out of 10 from certain guys, It's just need them to work hard, cover ground, and so, yes, it wasn't Gressel's best game, and maybe they were keying on him anyway because of the last match. But overall, I think he did his job well. Right.
Yeah, he mentioned in the post game as well that he noticed that, it was already kind of pretty different, nothing unexpected. They pretty much were kind of marking him a little bit more tightly than definitely last match. And then he wasn't able to get a cross off until the 17th minute. That, I think, pretty much tells the tale of, they knew that Julian Gressel beat them last match. Pretty much let them have way too much space. And so, definitely they were way more solidified, I think, in the back line, and that really, I think, helped us, be able to not only get the clean sheet, but I think limit kind of the most dangerous chances that they had.
Exactly.
Because we had most of the time numbers. But and so when we switched to that back four, we got the goal. Fantastic to see, because I think Barco, he was connecting the lines so well all game until he went off. But it's just super important what Barco, his contribution was.
And for me, he was the man of the match-winning performance for him. And DeBoer mentioned in the post game that he felt like Barco, especially after the formation switch, was getting in between those lines, in between the center backs. And you saw that's exactly what he did on that goal. He settles the ball, he shifts it nicely, and he was so patient. And the placement of the pass, especially where Escobar is when he makes the pass, the
weight of it is beautiful.
It's absolutely
perfectly weighted there. And I think it's also that I think the New England Revolution center backs, they like to stay with Joseph. And so with that, you have space in between the lines, and that's where Barco was operating really well.
And credit to them, because Joseph did have a quiet game, in my opinion. But it's just one of those things where if teams set out to stop Joseph, then someone else has to step up. And in this case, we got it from Barco and Escobar.
Exactly. And so, Escobar with his third goal in the playoffs. I mean, he only has 2 in the regular season.
Right.
Yeah, he obviously is a guy that just shows up at the big moments for sure, and also I think for most of the season. But it's just one of those, you don't expect goals from him.
Yeah.
Normally.
You don't, but I don't think it's an accident at the same time because last season, he played right wing back during the postseason and got forward a lot more, and was able to show off more of his talents really.
Yeah.
And here in this game, we switched to the back 4. He moves to right back as opposed to right center back.
Right.
Gives him more freedom to get forward, and he shows what he can. It's a nice finish, and I take back what I said. I think he may have actually been going for goal.
Yeah, absolutely was. I don't think it was a cross at all.
And it's so perfectly placed, really, because we talked about that goalkeeper is hard to beat.
Yeah.
And so. But Escobar did it from a tight angle. It's really good technique from him. He's a fantastic overall player, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, he's scored some really nice goals
with his left foot too.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
But and so also I think a very large part of this match was winning our duels.
Yes.
Because we've in terms of the actual duels that we won, it was 69 to their 42.
Yep.
That's a pretty big disparity, and I think that those individual battles really helped us kind of control the game when it mattered the most.
Yep.
And I mean, so the overall in terms of also a lot of people are annoyed when we play kind of listless possession and whatnot. There was at one point, there was listless possession, but we were just making sure that we were seeing out the game, and so that's when you use it.
Yeah, right.
Otherwise, you try to be more proactive with your possession.
Right.
But I think when we were just trying to play keep away, it was beautiful. And
and for De Boer, duels obviously are a huge deal to him. He talks about it after every match, duels, as he likes to say.
Yeah, for sure.
But I give him credit because he set up to how he wanted the team to perform and what he wanted to accomplish. Obviously, they won the duels battle. Lorenowitz gets a shout here for me. He won 13 duels, the most in the match. He was winning the ball high up the pitch, and and in addition to his 5 aerial wins as well. He was a rock in the center of the pitch for me.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
He was a big part, and he was a big part of what we ultimately what we did well, I think, in terms of getting forward and what De Boer wanted out of the team.
Right, and I think a big part of why he played is because you have Atil Bunbury on the other side, a really big guy, a target man, like I said earlier. That they're lumping those balls towards him, and you need somebody in the middle of the park to win them. And I mean, Jeff Lorenowitz is one of the biggest ones at winning those aerial duels. So so it was no surprise to me that he was in this match. I mean, it's just in terms of even seeing out the match with only 10 men. I mean, yes, it was kind of a I don't know. It was I think a lot of the crowd at one point when Parky went down, they didn't really know what was going on quite yet. They saw obviously on the Halo board eventually that he was clutched by his shoulder and being walked off with help. But that's really hate to see that, and we're losing center backs by the game. I mean, each game we were losing a center back, and so hopefully LGP doesn't get a yellow card soon, because we might lose another one. And so
the lineup, the potential lineup if we lose LGP.
Oh God,
dude, please don't shout at the ref. Just don't, man.
I think it's definitely just keep it under control.
It's not worth it.
But what is kind of scary also is that Jeff Lorenowitz also got one, and so the accumulation is different in the playoffs. Pretty much you get 2 and then you're out for the next game. It's just it's not fantastic, and it's kind of annoying actually, but I get it. If it's they're shorter rounds too, so that is a higher impact. I don't like it.
It's really the conference final that's at risk. You know what I mean? So if we advance, of course, and any of those guys pick up a yellow, then we'd have to do without them for the next round. And Especially, don't really want to lose a Renowitz and LGP, especially at this time.
Right. And so, yeah, I mean, they're guys that have played, very meaningful minutes in MLS. A lot of them, I should say. And that's, I think, speaks for a lot at this point. I mean, experience is very, very handy at this point. So, but anyway, let's move on to the post-match quotes. And yeah, I think Frank de Boer, he pretty much spelled it out perfectly about Franco Escobar. He wasn't surprised, but he said, "If you see Franco today, it was not a coincidence that he made the goal. I think he was already tremendous in the first half, defensively, offensively. He's so eager to get a good result on our side." And I think he kind of alludes to it a little bit, is that we see a different Escobar in the playoffs. I think he's definitely more up for it. Sure. I think he also, again, got a little bit more help and wasn't left on an island in this match.
Right.
But also, I mean, in terms of Joseph Martinez lauding his teammates, he's always, for the golden quotes, always known for that. Yeah, he was asked to describe his teammates' mentality in this game, and he said, "Warriors, it doesn't matter if we play well or not. The important thing is to win." And I think it's pretty poignant here because, we had to play the last few dying minutes with 10 men, and it was definitely squeaky bum time for sure. And
it was pretty even overall. And at this point, we're just not gonna run over teams. We can expect a contentious match every match, I think. And these playoffs have shown maybe some up and down, some unexpected turn of events. So for Atlanta United to put in that kind of gritty, boring, low-key performance, I guess, relatively speaking, because it was game was a little stretched at times, but
I mean, it was at times kind of back and forth, but in terms of when you expect back and forth, you're like, oh, goals on that side, goals on that side, or something. This definitely wasn't the case. But I think it was still an entertaining match. For the most part, very nerve-wracking for sure. But at the end of the day, we got the results, and we move on, and we survive and advance.
That's all it's about.
Happy days. So anyway, let's move on into the news. And so yes, Michael Parkhurst, he did have a dislocated shoulder, and that prognosis, at least so far, is that he is out for about a couple of weeks. It seems like Frank de Boer, I think, through his experience of at least hearing and seeing those injuries, it's about that time. Which is going to be a little bit difficult because, our next match is on Thursday. So,
our next potential match is next Thursday. So, basically, Parkhurst, it sounds like he's out for the next 2 matches at least.
And so, it's not it's something I don't think we should expect him for sure. And also, another person that we shouldn't expect, this is kind of the rehash of the update last week that, yes, Miles Robinson, he's still week to week in touch and go. So I would still expect him not to play as well. And there's...
They just don't sound very optimistic.
Exactly. I mean, there's just things that are being kind of bandied about that... I mean, it just doesn't seem like he's going to be playing in the MLS Cup Playoffs. So,
Such a shame.
If he is, it'll be some miracle, and oh my God, yes. I would love that to happen. But either way, let's move on from that and into the other playoff matchups that, who have moved on. And so NYCFC know their opponent now as well, and Toronto FC is who they'll face.
Toronto also went to extra time with DC, put 4 goals in extra time. It was 5-1 final score. So that's
a calamitous extra time for DC United.
Also, what a way for Wayne Rooney to go out. Thanks. I mean, he actually was a credit to the league when he played, but see ya.
Exactly. I mean, it's one of those, as an Arsenal fan, bye.
As a Chelsea fan.
But no, I understand. In the grand scheme of world football, yes. Wayne Rooney kind of bowing out without really any sort of fanfare.
Not even a home match.
That kind of does suck, but and so Seattle will be facing RSL. And I mean, so far most of the teams, at least because we are filming this on a Sunday night,
Yes.
we do not know the results of the LA Galaxy and the Minnesota match.
Right.
So the home teams have won the match.
Yeah.
So
Will that continue?
will that continue? It would be interesting. But LAFC, yes, will face either LA Galaxy or Minnesota United.
Right.
And so we'll find out that later in the week. Excuse me, I have like a frog in my throat. But anyway, so moving on from that, I think something kind of funny and kind of coincidental in the kind of pre-match proceedings was that in the team photo, the return of shouting LGBT happened, and I think I always find a kick out of it because usually that also precedes a win for us.
Again, if you're into omens, this is it.
Yeah, or at least a series win. So
Right.
it actually does. I think it means good things.
Yeah.
And so I want it to happen more.
Yeah.
Because
Also for the comedy.
yeah, exactly. It didn't. Well, he did it in the Champions League, and it didn't really quite work out. But at least in the MLS Cup Playoffs last season, it worked out beautifully.
Keep doing it, man.
Exactly. But anyway, moving on from that, oh my God, the golden spike hitter this week. Oh my God. Ric Flair. For 3 long years, he had been talking about coming and going and taking in an Atlanta United game. This was even before we even knew about the golden spike and celebrities coming to the games to hit it and whatnot. I mean, he showed up with all of the bravado you expect.
The energy.
From the legend. From the nature boy.
Yes.
Oh, man. I wanted to, I mean, I was in the kind of, I wasn't at my seat yet.
Yeah.
And I saw it on the TV screens while I was walking to my seats, and I was like, I wanted to strut with him. And it was... God, it's so good to see Ric Flair in an Atlanta United kit.
Yeah.
And
it looks good on him, doesn't it?
It does. And he had he took it off like a robe in terms of his blazer.
Yeah.
Just he's patting his shoulders.
Oh man,
and
yes,
it was just exactly what you love to see
from
Ric Flair. And it got me hyped. I was like, there's no way we lose this.
Yeah.
So
that's what I told my buddies.
Yeah, exactly. And so, so in terms of, if you don't know who Ric Flair is, he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And yeah, WWE, WCW, he was definitely in both, for sure. And
just a legend.
God. And I mean, I think if you follow Migos and stuff like that, he was in their music video as well. Yeah. So he's kind of the OG of just being kind of one, blinged out. Yeah. 2, just being a showy guy.
He's like kind of like The Rock before The Rock, really.
Yeah. Could cut a promo like no one better.
The ultimate showman.
Seriously. Yeah. But a couple of woos for Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Woo! All right. Sorry for you. Anyway, but I just love Ric Flair. Sorry, guys. Anyway, let's move on to Atlanta United 2, and it was the last game of the season. They played Nashville SC, who will be moving on to MLS in 2020, but they had lost 3-0 to them, and they are they finish first in their division. So I think there's no shame quite in that per se.
And like you said, they're preparing for MLS, so obviously it's bigger. It goes beyond USL this season.
Right. And so they finished their second season in Atlanta 2 with 9-17-8, and they have 35 points, and that's beating their inaugural campaign by 4 points. Yeah. So not spectacular, of course.
Right.
But it's a reserve squad. It's kind of been the MO of a lot of reserve squads.
And a constantly rotating squad as well. I think that's what makes it so difficult. Right. And there were some high points in this season as well. So hopefully there will be incremental improvement. Obviously discussions about how to handle the team going forward. Yeah.
But Stephen Glass, I think, did an admirable job. Pretty much juggling all the starting 11s and all the players that he didn't have and that he had to work with. Also, the emergence of George Campbell as well to be signed as a homegrown player. Also beautiful to see. Yeah. And also Luis Fernando also emerges from that and signed to the first team.
Can George Campbell play center back for us now?
He cannot.
Rats.
That's because, unfortunately, homegrown rules are really weird, and we signed him, and he will only be ready for January 1st in terms of being available and kind of being able to be eligible on a roster.
Right.
So it's weird, annoying, and I mean, I don't know if he's trained, I think, with the first team at times.
Yeah.
And definitely probably against, but I think it's just one of those, like, it's
Yeah,
probably too early.
It would be a stretch anyway, yeah.
But anyway, that does it for the news and gets us to buy or sell. And simply, we put up an Atlanta United topic and we say if we buy or sell it. So first, Atlanta United topic. Over 50% chance PT Martinez will be a 5-stripe in 2020. Buy or sell?
I buy it at 51%. No, I buy it because I think that the alternatives are just too difficult, right? And I think ultimately, I think if he leaves Atlanta, after this season, it's a lose for everybody. If the perception of MLS is not very high, and PD took some criticism even coming to this league. If he leaves without really balling, without doing much, what does that say about him as a player? How does that change his perception in South America, in Europe? And then for Atlanta, other players who might be looking at Atlanta from South America in particular might look at that situation and go, do I want to play for De Boer? Maybe I go to NYC. Maybe I go to Inter Miami, So I think it behooves everyone involved to try to make it work for one more season, because we know De Boer is going to be back anyway. So I think it's just a matter of repairing that relationship, getting on the same page in terms of tactics, and try again in 2020.
Yeah, I mean, I'm for the repairing the relationship. I mean, I don't think it's really on the outs or anything like that. I think in terms of why he didn't play, it was because of the tactics in the match, and definitely the kind of importance on the security and the kind of defensive work rate. But in terms of if I buy or sell, I think, yes, I buy that he will be a 5-stripe in 2020. I think it's because we would take a loss on the transfer fee, for one. We haven't seen the best from PT Martinez. Even though he had 5 goals and 7 assists, it's not absolutely horrible numbers or anything like that. Yes, it's a little bit of an underwhelming thing in terms of how much we paid for him, sure.
Right.
But in terms of, I think, PT Martinez, I think, yes, he does have a lot more to show. But it is also, he's a number 10. I think he is a guy that maybe lacks in the work rate a little bit. I think if you follow kind of world football, the importance of number 10s are kind of waning a little bit. I think had more importance in the 2010s.
Yeah.
But right now in kind of, it's more kind of based towards kind of like 4-3-3 systems,
and I think
doing without the number 10s.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with his style in particular, I think is the issue, because he's more of a, if you want to call it, like a panache kind of player, whereas the more modern number 10s tend to be hardworking, maybe not the most creative, but covering a lot of ground, pressing a lot of times, and I think even Barco puts in a little more of a shift, up and down the field than PD would necessarily. And that doesn't make PD a bad player. It's just that I understand where De Boer's coming from, where especially if he's looking for security, maybe PD's on the outs for you, at least at the start of the game.
Right, exactly. I mean, he obviously is a very creative player, definitely has a blast of a shot on him. And it's just one of those things where, I mean, yes, I think PT Martinez is just a little unlucky in a lot of respects because of, the kind of loss of Miles Robinson in the back is a large impact on him because, in terms of a team, you're only as good as your worst defensive player, for one, and then, also on the flip side, only as good as your, best attacking player in a sense defensively. Yeah. Because if you have a guy that, gives away balls needlessly and, just cheaply gives away, things that it's just, it really puts everybody under pressure. And so you really need to be as solid as you can be in terms of just all the attacking and defensive levels. And so that's just kind of how it goes. But next topic is Jeff Loretowitz will be a 5-stripe in 2020.
Bye. Because he might be a coach. No, I'm kidding.
Sort of a 5-stripe. Yeah, I guess, sure. Okay.
I think he'll be a player next year. I think he may announce his retirement next season. But I think I think he'll be back. Just something tells me that he's not ready to hang him up yet.
Yeah, I agree. I buy it as well because I think he's shown in these playoffs as well, and I think throughout the season that he's okay with coming off the bench or playing a bit part. Because he knows like his experience will come into play a lot, and I mean having these type of guys in the team that are willing to sacrifice minutes, are willing to really coach the other guys, or at least just impart some knowledge. The experience always really pays off, especially if you hopefully can bring him back on kind of lower wages.
Sure.
Because I wouldn't put him on starting wages. Definitely not.
Right.
And I think he is getting up there in age. I think he's 36, but
right.
Holy hell! I mean, he's still shown that he's got a lot to give, and
either way, even whether or not he's a coach officially, he's gonna coach. You know what I mean? He's gonna impart his wisdom and experience on the other guys, and I think that can only having a guy like that in your camp can only help.
Yeah, agreed. So, yes, we both agree that he will be a 5-star in 2020, and hopefully he is. If he isn't, it'd be a sad day as well. But I mean, it'd be strange, Michael Parkhurst announcing his retirement, and then. Loreno was just maybe going out like Brian McCann and just saying like, at the end of the season or something like that.
That would be very Loreno of him, I feel like. Just be like, oh, actually, this is my last game.
Yeah. So I feel like he would have said that, during the last game as well. So
that's true.
That's where I believe that it's not quite his last time.
We're doing our digging, I promise you.
Yeah. But anyway, so that does it for buy or sell and moves us on to the mailbag. And you guys send in these questions through IG story. Please continue to do so, and we might answer your question in the future. First question comes from Josh1224. Why do you think PT or Remedi didn't play yesterday? Yeah,
and we kind of touched on it a little bit with PT, that is, in terms of, having to sacrifice maybe a creative player who doesn't track back as much for a more defensive setup in general. Right. But in this case, it looks like it's, he says it's Barco or PD for him. Yeah. But really, it's Hyman who's replacing PD if you're looking at how we set up earlier in the season.
Exactly, because there were at times where PT and Barco played as well as Joseph.
And and the board did float that out there. That could happen again, but
I think it was just, in terms of this match, because New England Revolution had already seen us, they already are preparing in that sense that, yes, this is, the weaknesses, this is where we need to attack to maybe get a goal. Right. That's really where, we need to be as secure at the back as much as possible. Right. And Emerson Hyman, does provide a little bit more of a work rate, and I think, he did show it in terms of his defensive work rate and kind of, pressing as well. I think it's just a matter of, maybe his actual end product in this match, it wasn't really there. Right.
Now, in terms of Remedi, though, I am surprised Remedi didn't even take part, especially when we saw Mo Adams come on later on, and they played pretty much the same position. I mean, they are both holding midfielders to a degree.
So there might be something kind of behind the scenes of like maybe he is a little bit more maybe sick or something, or maybe he wasn't feeling at his 100%.
Right.
Or maybe he wasn't showing enough in training or something. Who knows? But I think in terms of why Lorenowitz started over Remedi to begin with, because I think that's the interchangeable part at the moment, is that Remedi, I think, doesn't offer the aerial prowess that a Larry does. And so when that does, have a need, especially against their striker, Teal Bunbury, who's a big hulking kind of guy. Remedi is not known for that. And
also I think Remedi's a little more box to box, and Larry is a little more of a sitting deep
holding midfielder. Exactly. And that way, it really did, I think, help our shape. Definitely, and that's really what's very necessary when you are trying to control the game and not just be all out pressing everybody. So if we're going in and kind of with the mindset of just pressing the team, then I think Remedi is probably the better choice. But because you do need a guy who can recover quickly, and Jeff Lorenowitz probably isn't known for recovering runs per se. So I think that's why, and I think why we said that he's not going to play, or they didn't play this past match. But next question comes from Chip Natina. If Miles is at 75% on Thursday, do you put him in the lineup, bench, or starting 11? Yeah, I don't think he plays a part at all if he's at 75% either, because I think 75% Miles, it's still a little bit of a danger because you don't know, and if you have to sub out a center back, it's just not ideal. Like again, when you make subs, you generally try to make attacking subs or like midfield subs. You definitely don't want to change things in your backline unless you are trying to just see out a match.
Right.
If you're making a sub because of an injury or someone hobbling off and it's a center back, usually it does not end well. It's usually bodes for more trouble than it's worth. And so, yeah, I wouldn't play him at 75%. It's 100% or nothing.
Yeah, I would maybe he makes the bench for me, and especially with Parkhurst now out completely unavailable, so somebody from the bench goes into starting lineup. So I think maybe he makes the bench for me, but would not play more than like 5-10 minutes, if at all. I actually lean towards not playing him at all, but I think if he is at 75%, then I think he's part of the 18.
Yeah, and if he is at 75%, and yes, we are just completely down to just bare bones in the back line, then maybe he makes the bench. But I just don't think he really plays a part for us in the MLS Cup Playoffs going forward, unfortunately. But hopefully they can pleasantly surprise us. So anyway, next question comes from Stillman Mullen. Do you think Bello should get a call-up for this Thursday's fixture? I don't think he will, unfortunately, because it's this. George Bello, he's kind of pretty much penned to join the U.S. youth national team at the next World Cup, and that's in November. And so he's pretty much going to play a part in that. He's been playing with Atlanta United 2 since he's returned from his injury. Yeah. He hasn't really been a big part of the first team squad at all, and so I just don't think he's gonna be really featured.
Yeah, and in terms of do we think he should? Probably not. I mean, like, he just has not played with the first team at all. And I think, I think there's a reason behind that with the coaching staff. Maybe they just think they want to bring him along a little slowly. He is pretty young. He's going to the U17 World Cup. We have to remember that. Yep. So I think, probably this is not the spot to really have him even part of the 18.
Exactly. It's we have a Mikey Ambrose in the squad as well, who made the 18. Right. You have just at least Florentine Pogba was playing left back at the end of the match. I think you have a couple guys that will, I think, see time in those positions. So I don't think George Bello will really, unless we are in an absolute pinch. And in which case, it might, that's probably not a good thing if we do have that happen. So next question comes from Jair Raimundo, 02, 352, or 433 for the rest of the playoffs.
Ooh, I'm gonna cop out because I'm gonna say both. I mean, like, we showed.
Because it's been both.
Yeah, and but I will say it's pretty encouraging. We showed the ability to switch formation halfway, or not halfway through, but in the middle of the match. And I do appreciate De Boer being that aggressive. Changing shape is not something that managers like to do very often mid-match. If anything, they'll do a like for like, move some players around, but keep the shape pretty much the same. But De Boer said, no, we need to change it. And he did. And so I like that the team does have the fluidity to it, and that's hard to prepare for. Yeah. So I say both, man.
Yeah, I mean, because, again, in both matches against the New England Revolution, he played both systems. And with that, yes, he kind of had that in mind, and he said that in the press conferences afterwards about, it gives the other team something else to think about, and that is always good because, the less time you have in between these matches, the better it is for us when we have different things we can roll out and they aren't ready for it. And so, I think being able and training in both of these systems is just the way to go because, I think they pretty much showed that at least the Revolution couldn't break them down. Right. So, last question comes from Official Chancho. Who do you think is the most underrated Atlanta United player?
Franco Playoff Escobar. So I think, but the reason why I say that, I think he's a fantastic overall football player, right? Like, he's good with both feet, he's decent with the ball, in terms of dribbling. He can play across, he can take shots. I mean, he has played multiple positions since he's been with LA United.
Yeah.
Right back, right wing back, right center back. He can step into the midfield and provide support. And yeah, I think when he's used, especially when he's allowed to go forward, he's just such a dangerous player. And again, like, you're not prepared for him because his stats don't necessarily wow you, but
Sure.
He's an impact player.
Yeah, and especially even on FIFA, I mean, he gets a 70 for pace, and we all know, I think, at least, these two guys on this side of the table, I think, know that his pace is one of the best on the team. Like, I think just right under,
I believe,
Tito Villalba.
Yeah, no, and Tito was like, they're not respecting you. Like, even Tito was like, they're not giving you love, bro.
Exactly. I mean, if you've ever seen him make a recovery run, holy crap, he outruns everybody.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I would say even Miles, Miles isn't as fast as him. I think Miles is markedly stronger than Franco Escobar, even though I don't think he's a slouch either.
Right.
But I like that. I mean, Franco Escobar, that's a very good shout. And there are some other ones I think with some kind of notable mentions, maybe an Eric Remedi of sorts. For most of the good work that he's put in the last 2 years with us. I think Ezekiel Barco is kind of overlooked in a sense at times. Jonathan Nagbe also at times. We have a lot of guys that maybe don't get the fanfare of, like, say, a Jose Martinez, or a Miles Robinson, at least more recently. I think for me, it's LGP actually.
Oh, yes.
Because he doesn't get a lot of love on kind of defensive lists. For one, he didn't get any love. I think rightly so this season for the defensive kind of player of the year. But last season, I think he absolutely should have made the list and maybe finished kind of a little bit higher than he did. And he's one of the best ball-playing center backs in the league for sure.
He's good with the ball at his feet.
Exactly. Right foot, left foot, doesn't matter. I think when we don't have LGP in the squad or in 11 even, I think you see the large miss that he is. And plus, he's a spiritual leader.
Yes.
He takes new players under his wing. I mean, he's a guy that isn't rated highly in terms of, the national media of, like, the guys that you absolutely talk about when you talk about LA United.
Right.
For me, LGP.
I like that one. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure, man. But, anyway, so that does it for the mailbag and gets us to the match preview. And so it is the Philadelphia Union. I mean, us playing against them, this season, it was okay.
Was it?
It was okay. At least a 1-1 draw at home. But the 3-1 win, or 3-1 loss against them, they won 3-1 against us at Talent Energy Park. It was, or Talent Energy Stadium rather. They, I think, kind of beat up on us when we were definitely very fatigued from a very long month. So it was something that I think they can hang their hats on, of course. They got the W fair and square in that sense, but it is something that we played well. For the most part.
We did not take our chances in that match.
Yes.
And, and so we could have been up 2-3. We did score a very pretty goal at the end of the half. But, second half, we didn't have it.
And we ran out of gas.
And
these things happen when you play pretty much 8 matches within
in a month.
28 days. It's a lot. And I think also in terms of their recent form, they haven't really been killing it. But they just got their first playoff win, so congrats to them. And they will be, I think, hopefully leaving with only one playoff win in 2019. But hopefully that's the case. But anyway, so their recent form, they have won 2 in their last 6 with 3 losses. So they're not screaming in really beautiful form, but they have been playing some tough teams. One of them being NYCFC. For us, we've won 4 in our last 6 with only 1 loss. Ain't too bad in that respect. And so, of course, the last 2 have been against the same team, but still, either way, it's difficult. It's difficult to beat the same team twice.
Exactly.
And so, for us to do that, we should be able to hang our heads high with that. But in terms of Philadelphia Union and the way they play, they have that kind of 4-3-3 diamond.
4-4-2 diamond, maybe?
4-4-2 diamond, at least in the last match, but I think it depends. They kind of switch around. I mean, they are pretty deep in terms of their roster.
Yeah.
So,
I think they do like that diamond formation in the middle, though, especially with Majuninen and Bedoya, and then you have I think Caceres, I think, or something like that. Yeah, I mean like you said, they're deep, especially in midfield.
Exactly, and so they only like to play with kind of one holding midfielder at that base of the diamond, and that usually is Majuninen, but. I believe, it's Bedoya, at least I think it's but
either way.
It depends. I think they switch off, but either way. Anyway, they in terms of how they play, they like to attack down the wings. Yeah, they really create a lot of their chances through their individual skill.
Yeah.
And they're quite good at scoring and finishing their chances. So
especially from set pieces. They scored 3 goals from. Well, they scored 2 goals from set pieces. They scored 1 from a cross from the wing, and then the last one was just. If you see that Marco Fabian goal, it's
when they played against New York Red Bulls for context. But they also, though, in terms of their weaknesses, they don't really like. Conversely, because they like to attack on the wings, they are not quite as good defending that attack on the wings because probably they are moving up too much forward,
right?
And then we can maybe find some space in behind, but
and also some long shots. We do have a couple players that are not shy about pulling the trigger.
Exactly.
And so one thing I would add about the Union strength as well, they are a come from behind team. Mentioned before, they were down 1-0 to us at Chester. They came back 1-3-1. Today versus Red Bulls, they were down 2-0 and they were down 3-1. They came back and won. Last time they played Red Bulls at home, they were down 2-0 and they won 3-2.
Right.
They get up for it, especially the big games. And of course, all of these games are big. So even if we take the lead, we're going to have to be sharp. We're going to have to play, they're going to make us play a full 90 for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I think they have that grit. They have that determination to play their best ball. And so it's going to be a thing that we're going to have to contend with. But it has been a different story at the Benz. I think we kind of at least handle them better than at least at Talon Energy. Yeah. But yes, I think earlier in the season they didn't see the very best of LA United.
That was still pretty early in the season, and then De Boer did a thing which he better not do again. He had his lineup in a diamond.
Yeah, better not match the same formation because it's just not what worked at all.
Yeah, I think it was a left wing back by committee or something. It was not a good setup.
Yeah, and so that's I think is an outlier type of kind of setup to begin with.
Right.
But yeah, they're also a team that likes to possess the ball, and so with that, we're both teams that like to possess the ball. Who's going to concede that possession, or is it going to be really 50-50 in that way? Yeah, I mean, it might be a really back and forth match, which I think for the neutral could be really great. Yeah. But in terms of their players to watch, they've got some guys that in the regular season have done really well. Kasper Zerbilko had 15 goals and 4 assists. Yeah. And then Marco Fabian had 8 goals and 1 assist. Yep. And then Fabrice Jean Picot, he had 5 goals and 5 assists. And I mean, it's they have a bunch of guys that are, I think, can come off the bench. Really make an impact. I mean,
especially Elstino, another 5 goals, 5 assists there. And so we are filming this after Union beat Red Bulls 4-3.
Right.
And in this match, Picot, Fabian, Elstino all came off the bench. And so that's another thing that we need to look out for, keep in mind, is that Jim Curtin will use subs to change the game, a lot like how De Boer did in the last match.
Right, and so... unfortunately, though, Zerbilko did not play in the last match, that's why they did play with a 4-4-2. Yeah. And so with that, though, I mean, he didn't play, and after the layoff of 2 weeks, I mean, will he play against us? He did absolutely score against us at Talon Energy Stadium. So
belter of a goal too.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of danger men. So I don't think it'll matter really per se in one respect of who starts per se, because some guys could come off the bench. Yeah. But whether he's healthy enough, it's just going to be a kind of probable game time.
I wouldn't be surprised if he comes off the bench actually.
Yeah. So, but he suffered a foot injury on decision day, and that's why he's out. But, in terms of us, we of course got Miles Robinson, who is just he's injured with his hamstring injury for sure. Yeah. Michael Parkhurst with the dislocated left shoulder. Right. Brachet, who's out for the season. And so, those are the knowns. And then, that gets us to essentially what are kind of starting our keys of the game.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we're going to attack with our wings, of course. We need to make sure we finish our chances. I think that's one of the negatives from our last match. And so I think we need to get a first half goal, I think.
As attacking on our wings, we've kind of, at least on the left wing back position, hasn't been the best the last couple of matches.
Right.
And maybe that's through kind of marking him out of the game, or in terms of just overall performances, maybe he's kind of sputtering because of the position. But Justin Merriam hasn't had the best couple of matches.
Right.
And I think it's kind of maybe, it's the latter half of the season. It's probably why he didn't go to the kind of, his international team as well with Iraq, because of, the fatigue that's kind of come along with kind of learning this new position for one. And
a very hard-working position. It demands a lot out of you. So.
Yeah, I mean, you have to bomb up and down a lot.
Yes.
And that's really taxing for sure.
Yep.
And so, I mean, in terms of that, would you take him out of the side? That's just, I think it would be, kind of heresy in one way, because it would take the whole shape a little bit away. Because, I mean, do you bring in a Dion Pereira, who hasn't really featured very much, and it's just, I think there have been some people. I think I got a mailbag question that was kind of that question of like, Justin Merriam, I would have liked to see him subbed or something like that. And I'm like,
well, he did. Well,
but subbed earlier.
Oh yeah, right.
It's just like one of those things where they weren't liking his performance. And
sure.
It's like, I just don't think that in terms of not starting him, it's just not wise, I think. Yeah. But anyway, and we'll get to that anyway. Another part of our keys to the game, this is a very strong Philly side.
Yep.
And so we need to really play smart. Yeah, we shouldn't really let them get in behind as they are wont to do as well.
As they did in their last match against us.
Exactly. And so they, them getting on the ball also, I mean, they could create some good chances through the possession. So, I mean, I think a little bit of pressing is necessary as well. Especially, I think, how well we were doing in the kind of first half of the match against them at Talent Energy.
Yeah, exactly. And one of my keys for sure is test Andre Blake, goalkeeper for Philadelphia. If you haven't seen the game, go back and look at the highlights. But the 3 goals that Red Bull scored were directly from mistakes from Andre Blake, flailing at the ball.
He doesn't have control of the box.
He really doesn't. Something that I will say Guzan does very well. I've always thought. But he, the aerial, he's suspect. It was a long shot, very similar to the save that Guzan made, except Blake let his in, even though he got his hands to it. Really? I saw a stat that he had something about minus 10 expected goals. So basically, he's allowed about 10 more goals more than you would expect given the shots he's faced, which is like one of the worst marks ever. So
we'll definitely need to take advantage of our set pieces, and so really make sure that we put a good ball in and let our guys who can win the ball in the air really put it in the back of the net. Absolutely. Maybe we do come up with some kind of creative routines and really try to put them off, and hopefully we can get one in that way. But anyway, let's get into our predicted starting 11. Then.
Sure.
And so, getting through the lines, of course, it's Guzan in between the sticks.
Has to be.
And in terms of the shape, I think, we start off with a 3-5-2 like we always do, at least recently. And so, who's in your back line?
My back line is Escobar, LGP in the middle, and Pogba on the left. So Pogba comes in, LGP shifts to the middle. I think, I know that some people, might worry about him, LGP being the commander.
Yeah, the sweeper in the middle of really.
Yeah, and he's going to be the one who's making sure the defense is
is organized.
Is organized, and so, but I actually trust him in that role. He is a leader out there, so that I think for me, Pogba comes in.
Okay. I mean, for me, I think it's Escobar as the right center back Larry comes in as the sweeper, and then LGP is back on his customary left side of it. So I think Larry provides a little bit more of that experience, and I think he has played in the back line, not as a sweeper, not as the middle of the back three, but because when he has, it's played as the right center back.
Right.
But I think, when he drops in between center backs in a 4-man back line anyway, I mean, it's pretty much a little similar, so I think he will have a little bit more of a familiarity with it.
Yeah.
And I think for me, Pogba, I think just lacks a little bit of the fitness to be able to play the full 90 at the moment.
Sure.
Especially, he had played pretty much this past week as well and made the flight over.
Oh, right, yeah.
And so I just don't think he's quite kind of match fit for all these minutes. And he's shown, when you play him too much, he will break down a little. And so, I think him coming in to kind of secure things is a little bit better, and especially if it's as a right, or if it's as a center back, or if it's as a left back, it could be either way. Getting into the midfield then, I mean, of course, I took a midfielder out, so it becomes a little bit more interesting there. I think for me, Remedi and Nagby start in the middle.
Sure.
Remedi comes back in because yes, we do need a little bit more of that pressing. We probably don't need to worry about too hard, having an aerial prowess type of guy. And so, I think for me, Remedi can do the job in really harrying the guys that are on the ball and hopefully putting them in his pocket.
Yeah. So for me, the midfield is Larry, Nagby, and Hyman. And so it's a midfield three. De Boer did talk about this particular midfield three after the last match. He said he likes the balance and control that they provide. And so I expect him to go out to start with that again, especially versus what we expect will be a diamond formation. And winning that middle is going to be pretty key in this match.
For sure. And then, so onto the wing backs, I think for me, I think it stays as it is. Gressel and Miram, they come back in, and that's where I think it is crazy to maybe bring out a Miram. Yes, he didn't have the best matches recently, but I think the familiarity and what he provides overall, I think, just to take him out after a couple of performances against the same team might just be a little rash, but you have something different.
Yeah, I do. Call me crazy. No, so
I am calling you crazy. It's all good. No.
Yeah, so my wingbacks are Gressel and Pereira. And so Pereira is left-footed, and I think one of the issues is that Justin Miram wants to cut in, he wants to take people on because he's right-footed, and that makes sense, and it was working for a while. But I think it just maybe makes that side a little too narrow, especially if you have Hyman in here, who already drifts to the left, already is right-footed, and so he does want to cut in from the left and kind of link up like Miram does. So I think with Pereira, you have somebody who's going to maybe go to the touchline a little more. Now, what we need to see from Pereira, I think, is better final ball.
Yeah.
And, if he's going to be on the left, he needs to put in crosses. But I think it potentially, having Pereira just widens the play overall, maybe takes pressure off of Gressel as well, and we've talked about attacking with width, and I think that gives us our best chance to attack with width.
Yeah, and I see what you're saying, and so part of my lineup in that regard, I think allows Miram to cut in as he does, and then the players that like to naturally drift over to the left side will allow them to do that as well. And so, getting into my number 10 is Barco. You already alluded that Hyman is your guy in the middle.
Right.
So Barco, I think kind of moving him a little bit backwards, just at least one position, I think allows him again to still operate between the lines and pretty much drift to wherever he pleases, which is great. And then, with Miram and, for me, PT comes back in and Joseph up top. PT does like to drift on his left as well, although he did do some of his best work kind of more on the right side this season for sure. But, I think it is that case where because you have Miram drifting in, PT kind of more drifting to the left, you kind of can create that space, and then PT Martinez can pick out a pass to the left as well, and so I think that's where we will have the kind of options abound, and pretty much balls and crosses coming from anywhere, and that kind of thing I think really bodes well for this type of match, where I think if their defense is kind of just unaware of where the ball is going to be coming from,
Yeah.
it really bodes well for us. But
up top I have Barco and Joseph, same as last match, and I would really love to see Barco get on the score sheet here, and because I think he will have his opportunities, especially if teams focus on Joseph. Teams haven't seen as much of Barco this season, and I think he's just like our secret weapon right now. I mean, he's very, very good. I'll go back to that assist. It's just beautiful, and there's not a lot of players in this league that can do that. And so the fact that we have one who really hasn't played much and maybe he's fresh, I think that Barco, I want to see him take the load on. Like before he came to Atlanta, he scored a penalty in the Copa Libertadores final. And so I want to see him take a big game by the scruff.
Yeah, the scruff of the neck. Yeah, for sure. I think with this formation, we still probably could switch back into a 4-3-3 to see out a match if we are up, or if we need to push forward because we're down. There are still guys that we can bring on, Tito as well, some other guys.
I would say keep an eye out for Remedi Tito double sub, where they come in for, in my setup, Pereira and Hyman, and then I would actually move Larry back into and make that a back four, and then it would be Nagby and Remedi shielding them, Tito on the left wing. You do 4-2-3-1, I guess, at that point.
Right, and so, but either way, we still probably have to play a little bit more pragmatic, like we have, because the one-on-one ability is not really as prominent as we have when we have a Miles Robinson, for sure.
Right.
And so, but at home, I think we are able to definitely take that little bit more of a risk, because we know that the fans will give us the energy and give the team the energy that they will need to keep pushing forward. So, especially, it's not a full week after this match. It's just a couple of days less than kind of usual per se. So I mean, will be a little bit.
Yeah, keep an eye on fatigue for the Union. They just played 120 matches in a day less, and they have to travel.
Or 120 minutes.
So minutes, right?
Yeah, and so definitely that's a very long time to have played, and then have to have traveled here, and then play in the cauldron of the Bends. I think it really will definitely make an impact, especially if they get down early. That kind of fighting spirit, it really will be tested.
Yeah.
And so that gets us to our score prediction. What do you think is gonna happen?
I got 2-1 for the final score. I think it will be close. The Union are a tough team, and credit to them. This has been probably their best season, as a franchise. But I just think we need to our difference makers will make the difference. Guys like Barco, maybe a Tito. I expect Joseph to have a better game. And I think at the end of the day, we take care of business. 2-1.
Yeah, okay. I think I'm going along with more of how it's been going in the playoffs. And it's going to be a wild one. It's going to be 5 goals. And I think we're going to win 3-2. It's probably going to go back and forth because, they're not going to give up. We're going to just keep on fighting as well, because I think we've shown that. I think at home that we don't give up at home, I don't think. And so definitely it's I just
want a comfy win.
I know, but I don't think it's gonna happen without Miles Robinson as well. So I think we're gonna expect a bunch of goals, as it has been, because it's a knockout round. There isn't another leg to really kind of prop your leg on, for lack of a better word there. And so I think still we get that move on into the conference finals. So 3-2 ain't too bad, and I think it'll be fun for the neutral if there are neutrals out there watching this. But anyway, that does it for the match preview, and that gets us to our question of the day.
Yeah, Ric Flair, man, finally made an appearance at Mercedes-Benz. He hit the golden spike. Had many of us hyped. Who would you like to see Thursday night? Who's gonna get you hyped and ready for that match?
Yeah, but guys, let us know who you want to hit the golden spike. Who, in terms of what you want as your lineup for the match. In terms of your, score line, what is that? Let us know in the comments below. But anyway, that does it for the episode. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already, smash that like button, and share this video, because it really does help us a lot. And for Mark, I'm AJ. Thank you guys so much for watching.